Hello guys, today is Friday. I'm not gonna lie, the highest temperature was 30 degrees again, so like lately the weather has been quite weird. Some days like extremely hot, the rest of days just overcast. I was planning to go to VNA's art library this morning, but I realized that it closed today. What I wanted to do was went to the library, and afterwards I was gonna ride a bike in Hyde Park, and then I was gonna go to Notting Hill just to look around. But I just postponed my plans next week, just one of the days when it's not really hot that and when the library is open. I took online English speaking session this morning, and afterwards somehow I kind of did some task that I had to do. That is why I'm recording this right now. I think it's one of the important moments because I'm now leaving. It's not really I will be leaving, I'm really leaving. So I booked the flight ticket in mid-September. I knew what day I was gonna leave, but eventually I really booked the ticket. I'm literally leaving. I don't know, it's really bitter and sweet. I can't really just say, oh, I can't wait to go back to Korea, but it doesn't really mean that, oh, I don't want to go back to Korea. A bit, I'm not gonna lie. If I have a chance to just settle down here, why not? I'd love to. Just I personally, life here is more suitable than in Korea somehow. But just I personally has a also good event in Korea, so I have to go back, and I also need to start my work again. Maybe just right after I arrived Korea. Maybe I can have maybe at most 1 week break, and then I need to start my work. And just to culture myself, there is a musical that I want to watch before I go back, which is Great Gatsby. I've got this paper fan when I went to West End Lives. Yeah. So as far as I know, the producer is Korean, and this musical just opened, I guess, a few months ago, but it's been quite successful. So I want to watch this one. And also, I'm not really big fan of films, but there is a big IMAX cinema very close from my university. It's in Waterloo. My campus is Strand, but one of my university campus also in Waterloo. When you just cross the Waterloo Bridge, you can see like a round shape of building. That's IMAX building. I always wanted to watch some film at that cinema, but I couldn't really come across any like fascinating movie. You know, like Formula One just came out, I guess, like a few weeks ago. And I also wanted to watch Jurassic World, but I think it might be a bit too much to me. This morning I looked up the website. They just opened the tickets around noon this afternoon. What a coincidence. So they just opened the tickets 12:30. Actually, I was gonna watch that movie today or next Monday because it's gonna be just raining next week. So I will just study hard. That is why today I just had nice coffee and nice dinner. It starts from the 8th of August. So that was the first day they really start showing the film at the cinema. So like luckily I got really good seats. So this afternoon I booked 3 things: a musical, The Great Gatsby, and the second IMAX film, which is Formula One, and the last but not least, yes, my flight ticket back to Korea. The time is approaching, guys. So now, who's counting my day back to Seoul? It's only like 58 days left. I'll relish the rest of days in the UK, in London. Bye.
Indeed.
Hello guys, I just came back from that vintage furniture market. Happily enough, the sun's come out, so I've been enjoying this sunshine. But actually this morning it was quite gloom, so I just stayed in bed and finished the book that I'd read for a while, which is Humanise, written by Thomas Heatherwick. It's quite a thick book, but it wasn't that difficult to finish it. It was about 500 pages, but as you can see, because it's about architecture, it includes lots of photos and pictures, so it was very enjoyable, and it really made me think deeply about architects, cities, and the spaces we live in. So from now on, it's gonna be just a quick personal reflection on this book. First of all, my interest in this architect began when I visited New York again after nearly a decade. I went to New York last year to visit my friend. At the time, it wasn't my first time, it was my 5th time, so I'd been to so many places already, so I looked up where I could visit. So I came across Vessels. I don't really know the intonation, but Vessels and Little Island near Hudson Yard Place. To digress for a moment, in New York, I'm particularly drawn to Chelsea, with its raw artistic energy and galleries lining the streets. And it kind of reminds me of East London, full of graffiti and slightly vintage. So I really enjoyed looking around those areas. And while I was there, when I visited those 2 projects, I was very captivated by how their unusual forms reshaped the surrounding space. Back in London, a few weeks later, I passed a construction site near King's Cross, a building with this fascinating stepped form. I remember thinking, who designed that? It's quite fascinating. And by coincidence, I later discovered on YouTube that it was by the same designer behind the buildings I loved in New York, which is Thomas Heatherwick. When I just realized that he also published his first book, I guess it's his first book. So I just ran to the bookshop the day after and I bought this book. So what I understand about his main message is he argues that modern architecture prioritize efficiency and cost saving, and it has become emotionally empty. So he pointed out that buildings are now designed to be easy to be built and demolished rather than to move people emotionally. Therefore, people pass by without feelings connected to them. The worst point is the cycle of demolition and reconstruction is a huge environmental burden. Apparently, it's approximately 5 times worse than aviation emissions. So while reading this book, I also started thinking about Seoul, where I used to live for about 10 years. So compared to cities like London, Paris, or Amsterdam, Seoul is dominated by large-scale modern buildings. The difference is in how we experience the city as we walk. In many European cities, buildings are narrow and deep, so your surroundings change every few seconds. But in Seoul, you often walk for maybe 30 seconds or even a full minute beside a single building facade. That's not just a matter of aesthetics, it affects how alive a city feels. I don't work in that architecture sector, but I sometimes just asked myself, how can we make Seoul more walkable and more human scale, because I truly believe people can make the city more humanistic. But the thing is, we can't just criticize, because after the Korean War, there was overwhelming demand for housing and infrastructure. Buildings had to be constructed fast, and that's understandable. The same thing happened in post-war Europe, which Heatherwick also touches on in his book. So the issue isn't that we build quickly, but that we got used to buildings only that way, so we forgot how to build with emotion and with care. But sadly, unfortunately, I still come across so many disappointing examples back in Korea. Sometimes, even when a project starts with a good concept, it ends up being watered down by cost cutting during construction. So I remember one case, I just came across this case a few days ago, and when I watched it, I was very upset. It was a massive landmark project built on a hillside, and once completed, it looked totally awful. The building barely resembled the original design. It turned into a giant mess. It was supposed to look like a beautiful tree, but it was just disaster. To make things worse, the cost was so enormous they couldn't even tear it down. So now the public has to look at it every day, a structure that feels completely lifeless. So every time I hear stories like that, I get genuinely upset, because that's not just a failed design, it's a failure to respect people's daily lives. So while I was reading this book, I can't agree more, but kept nodding. So what he recommended and suggested to the audience, the readers, was just please experience many buildings you pass every day, and experience from these three different distance, from the city, from the street, from the door distances, and how do you feel? Was it enjoyable or it was boring? And if we find out it's boring, we kind of we can get some idea that what types of buildings that make us feel bored. The more people say out loud, the more opinions will be reflected when the architects build the buildings. To record this video, I arranged my thoughts. I wanted to link my experience from the book and from my real life, and it really helped me kind of build more concrete my reflections. It was quite interesting to film this video, because now I kind of finished writing my dissertation. So for the rest of time, I want to read books as many as possible. Funnily enough, obviously because English is my second language, I cannot really read as fast as reading Korean books. This afternoon, while I was reading Korean book, normally, the pages average is 250. I can read approximately 100 pages within 1 hour. While I read a book in English, let's say if I read 20 pages, it takes an hour. Because I still absorb lots of new vocabulary from English books. That is why. So maybe then I will now buy my next English book, maybe next week. Now I will edit this video and enjoy the rest of my Sunday. Thanks for listening. Bye.